guy named Rodney Crowell wrote it. Rodney was a big Richard Petty fan at the time.
Would you play a little bit for us?
You know what? I don't know if I can play it.
Come on.
I may not know it all. It goes, "Oh, King Richard, you rum runner's dream, the swiftest of outlaws I've ever seen. Your checkered flag waving so high in esteem that no one can catch you at all."
Still to come, Kyle's third act on the small screen comes with a price.
The hardest part about doing this thing, the TV stuff, is calling out people on the racetrack that you love and care about. You either like me or you don't. And I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
How many times do you have to talk about, or do people ask you about your hair?
All the time. Here's what happened with my hair. I went to a barber in Randleman, North Carolina named Junebug Swain. Okay? And Junebug, I would go in, and you had a chair like this, and Junebug would put a board across the chair, and I would sit in the chair, and he would shave my head. I swore if I ever got out of my mom's house, my hair was going to grow. So as I got older, it got a little longer, but she still made me keep it cut. But as soon as I was out, it started to grow. When I went to drive for Felix and drive for Sabco, and Felix is an amazing man. I love Felix Sabates to death. But he complained about my hair constantly, constantly. So we're going to Talladega, and I said, I'll just get it cut. I'll get it cut.
What year is this?
91.
Okay.
91. We just got the Mellow Yellow deal. Just signed the Mellow Yellow deal with Coca-Cola. So I cut my hair and show up, and I look good. I look good. Had a haircut. And about halfway through the race, there was a big wreck in the backstretch. Cracked my hip, compound fracture my left femur, broke some ribs. Anyhow, I had to set out 4 months, something like that, and couldn't drive. And I told Felix, who is from Cuba and was a little superstitious on things, it was because of the haircut. The haircut was the reason. Broke the karma, broke my mojo, that's it, gone. So I'm gonna have to grow it back out. And he's like, okay, no problem.
Was there a pre-race ritual?
I had two things at the Wood Brothers. One, I had a favorite pair of underwear that I only raced in this one pair of underwear, okay? I lived down around Charlotte at the time, and they were in Stewart, Virginia, which is 3 hours away, 3.5 hours away. So one day I left the underwear on the truck, and they threw the underwear away.
These are the lucky, like the
They're
lucky
my lucky underwear. My
Okay.
lucky underwear.
You're not going to believe it, but when he was on such a run and doing well,
Won the 600?
yeah, all of a sudden he lost his lucky underwear.
So I had to drive from Charlotte to Stewart, Virginia, and got there at 8:30, 9 o'clock, dug through the dumpster, got the underwear, okay, because they'd thrown them away, got the underwear, and they just had grease and stuff where they just piled them in. Anyhow, this is how much I know. So I was going to put some Clorox on them, get the stains out of them, okay? Well, when I pulled them out, there was nothing left but the band. Just the band. No underwear, just the band. So for the rest of that year, I just wore the band. I just wore the band because that was the last of the luck I had, was just with the band when I would race. So we did that, and before we went to Richmond, we went out to pizza. We had pizza. So we'd go to pizza every Saturday night before a race, just see if we could get it to repeat.
I feel like there's a follow-up, and I just don't know if I want to go
Oh,
there,
you can
but,
follow.
I mean, so just the band and another pair of underwear?
No, just the band.
Oh,
just
Kyle.
the band.
So,
Just the band. That saves weight.
just a band.
Just the band.
He wore the band for 4 races, but you know the magic was not in the band, and it's been downhill ever since for Kyle.
We talked about music, racing. Let's talk TV. That's the life we live, you live
TV.
now. Did you ever think you would transition from racing? The next chapter would be television?
No.
Broadcasting?
Never thought about TV. When a good friend of ours passed away, Benny Parsons, I loved Benny and had grown up with Benny, you know. And Benny had talked a few times, and we had talked about it. And when the accident happened, Mark Lazarus and Jeff Binky were at Turner. And they called and said, would you be interested? And I was driving a race car. And, you know, I thought about it, and I said, took about a day, and I said, yeah, I'll just set out those races. I don't have to drive them. I'm not running for a championship. I'm just a driver trying to keep my company alive and keep my dad's company alive. So went to work for Turner. I'd drive, and then I'd set out those middle 6 races, and then I'd drive the last part of the year. And it just kind of evolved into being at Turner and then doing some stuff for Speed and then ending up here at NBC. So, no, but I never thought about it. And I've always had opinions.
Yeah.
And not always PC opinions, I will say that.
I'm glad you said that,
Yeah.
because have you ever, I mean, you've been pretty outspoken, as you always are in life, but, you know, specific drivers, you know, Danica.
Yeah, she gets in that car and doesn't win races. It's not the car. It's not the engines. It's not the team. They only changed one thing.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for motivating me.
Denny Hamlin, Austin Dillon. Have you ever thought, I wish I wouldn't have said it, or I should have scaled back? Have you ever regretted anything you've said?
I don't think I've ever regretted anything I've ever said. Some things I regret on how it's taken. And I'm not articulate enough sometimes or smart enough to get from my brain out of my mouth and come out in a kinder way sometimes. But what I say, I mean. And I will say that. And I think that comes from being just in this sport for so long. I've just seen so many people come along who have BS their way and said things just to get people to like them. You either like me or you don't. I'm sorry. And you know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. That's the way it is. But when I say something, that's what it is. The hardest part about doing this thing, the TV stuff, is calling out or being totally honest with fans about people on the racetrack that you love and care about.
I love this sport more than anything else, but this is a black eye on this sport. We can talk as much about Jeff Gordon and how great a day it was for our sport, but it's countered 180 degrees by this right here. And for these guys to get out and say some of the things they say, it was just ridiculous.
You know, I made some comments about Matt Kenseth when some of his stuff went on. And I don't think I've ever had a better friend in racing than Matt Kenseth. And it hurt to have to say that. But that's the way I felt about it. And if I didn't say it...
About the incident
Yeah,
in
about the incident in Martinsville. And if I didn't say it, then every fan that watched me would instantly lose total respect for my opinion or what I had to say. So you have to say what you feel and you have to say what you believe. I want to be your friend, but this is my job and this is what I do. And I think to be able to make that transition from inside the circle, which is the racetrack, to outside the circle, and looking back in, I've been very fortunate, so it's been fun.
Well, and NASCAR is not just a sport; it's a lifestyle,
Yeah.
and it's hard to find someone who gets that.
Yeah.
And on a lighter note, and on a personal note, you've been able to find a person who gets that, and you got married. Morgan
Yep.
keeps you pretty balanced. Is it safe to say she gets you, or she tolerates you?
It's a combination of get and tolerate. She gets to tolerate.
Yeah.
How about that? That's the way I look at it. Morgan and I have been together for a number of years. We've been married for a year, and she is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I think so many times we're defined to people by what we do, not by who we are. She took the time to get to learn and understand who I was.
Would she have tolerated just the band of underwear?
She would not have tolerated the band, the earrings. I can go list, the tattoos. She would not have tolerated a lot of the stuff that I had pre-Morgan.
But what she does like is the music. Did you perform for her at your wedding?
Yes, I did. I wrote a trilogy of songs, and I call it my Morgan trilogy. I wrote a song to ask her to marry me, and then I had a song for our rehearsal dinner, and then a song for the wedding, so yes.
Well, you serenaded Morgan. We are most certainly not in her league, but we're going to have Kyle serenade us as we say goodbye.
Another city somewhere where they all look the same, with faces I don't know call me by my name.